So since I started making these videos, one of the questions that's popped up quite a bit is, Josh, are you a minimalist? Because I'm sitting here in this big, open, empty room making these videos. And one guy's comment was, Josh became so enlightened that he got rid of all his furniture. And I thought that shit was funny. So good one, bro. No, I'm not a minimalist, but I've learned a lot from that approach to life. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I'll tell you guys a story. And you know, this is essentially my story, and it's very linked to how Strength Side got started. So as I sip my tea here this morning, let's chat. Oh, that English breakfast. So about 6 to 7 years ago now, I was working as a personal trainer in the Bay Area of California, and I had a great job. Had all the clients that I needed, that I wanted, I guess. I made good money for a personal trainer. Had a good hourly rate, which feels good when you're a personal trainer, if you're charging that high dollar amount. Because we had some higher end clients at the gym I was working at. I worked with a lot of my friends. I had good friends. I enjoyed the people that I was working with. I was a single dude. I had a nice little studio apartment. It was good. Things were good until they started to not be that good. From the outside, everything seemed to be going very well. You know, like I was checking all the boxes. I was doing the things to make me someone that has their shit together, someone that is doing life correctly. But I started to have this feeling, just like this unsettled feeling, essentially. It just grew stronger and stronger. And I wasn't that interested in what I was doing for my work anymore. Like, all the people I worked with were great, but I knew that I wanted to just like do something bigger. You know, I talked about this feeling in a past video of like just feeling like I got something more to do. And if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, if you're not, familiarize yourself. But this is essentially the call to action, right? And when I look back on it, it's very clear. Oh yeah, this was the call to action right here. So the call to action was to change, to step outside of myself and to go into a more uncomfortable, maybe like not so secure position or step into that insecurity in my life. So what I did was I decided to step away from the job. I got rid of all my stuff and I took off to Latin America for a little more than half a year. And I just took my backpack. You know, I got a nice backpack, just what fit in my backpack, right? I left a few items at my parents' house, and other than that, man, I didn't have much to my name. So enter minimalism, right? And at this time, I was starting to learn about minimalism a little bit. You know, it's not something that you have to learn so much about. It's more so something that you just have to do and experience what you feel like when you get rid of a lot of things. And it was during, this period of my life that, well, it changed my path of where I was going so much. And really what changed was I was able to step outside of this bubble that I was living in. And I could clearly see this like bubble of this like machine that I was in, where essentially everything was based upon just the machine keeps going, right? So in my mind, I'm like, well, I have this good job, so everything should be good. So because I'm not feeling that good, I try to buy more things to make myself feel better. And then because I buy more things, I have to work more to pay for these things. And it's just a cycle that, a lot of us get into, right? It's this consumerism, capitalism culture, and it's the opposite of minimalism. I was able to see that very, very clearly. And I was able to see how I'm living in this place where I can make more money, but because I make more money, I also deal with paying a lot more. And I also deal with traffic, things like this that really just impede on your time, right? And that is what I got back when I took this trip. So I got my time back, right? And more than time, it was experience, right? Because you can have a lot of time, but what do you do with that time? Well, then you start valuing experience. And what is experience? But it is what you get to focus on, right? Where your attention goes in a day. And it's missed upon a lot. Not a lot of people talk about this. I first learned this from my mentor, my friend, Mike Bledsoe. And he started talking about, people talk about like you really want more time. But if you just had more time and weren't doing anything, that doesn't feel good either. What we really want is to choose where our attention goes every day. And if your attention is going to a lot of things that you don't value very highly, that don't fulfill you, then essentially that's going to lead to suffering, because there's an obvious gap there of what you want and what fulfills you in the things that the majority of what you're doing, where your attention is going. So I got to choose what do I want to do with my day? What do I want to focus on? What makes me feel good? And it was around this time that I started to realize the things that really, really make me feel good. And I started to discover, oh wow, you know what I really love is spending my morning at a park, at a park with a cup of tea, maybe with some good music in my headphones, with my gymnastics rings, so I can train, or so I can crawl around in the park, move around, play, right? These things make me feel really good. They fulfill something inside of me that was missing. And that's just one example, but what I started to learn was these things that fulfill me, they're not things, they are experiences, right? And this is when I started to really value this minimalist approach to life, because I saw the cycle of more things just leading to more suffering. And around this time, I read the book Essentialism, right? And Essentialism is more so just looking at minimalism in a holistic approach, right? A lot of the time we think minimalism and we think just get rid of all your things, see how you feel. Are you happy without no things? But I think really what we're all looking for is what is essential in my life. Not just material things, but also what I'm doing with my time. What conversations am I having that don't make me feel that good? What work am I doing that doesn't make me feel that good? Or rather, phrase it in the positive. What are the conversations that I want to have? Who are the people that I want to be around with? What is the work that I want to do? What is the downtime and chilling that I want to do? So I got to learn about all of what this meant to me. And I started to get really clear on what fuels me creatively, what my vision was for StrengthSide. Around this time, StrengthSide was just starting. And I had a choice. Do I want to keep this as like a side project, pay the bills with something, or do I want to go full in to StrengthSide and spend a few years not making a lot of money? And that's exactly what I did. I found ways to live on low income, and I put a lot of time into getting in my creativeness and envisioning the future for StrengthSide, the path that I wanted to take, and then taking the steps towards building that brand, building that business. And man, those are some of the funnest years, right? Now StrengthSide's big, it's a business, we make money, and everything's great. But when I think back to those meager years of just putting in the work and just really trying to just know in my belly that this is going to pay off, this is going to be the thing. And sometimes doubting it, but trying to override that doubt. It's easy to look back on the past romantically, but they were good times, man. They were good times. I didn't have a lot, but I had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of ambition, and I had a lot of good times. And I still do, because now I'm in a position where I do have things. Outside of this empty room, there's another room over there with a couch and a TV and a kitchen table, actually a coffee table, because we sit on the ground. You guys know that. But but I have things now. I have a truck, and actually I like the story behind the truck. I always wanted to have a truck, but it just didn't make sense because I had to commute a lot. So I had a car that was good for gas mileage, and it was a cheap car, paid it off really quickly, and didn't have a big payment. And this was like these minimalist years where I didn't want to feed the machine of just like buying a car that was way out of my range and having to just work and work and work to keep paying that off. But I always wanted a truck. Just something inside me was like, man, I fucking love pickup trucks. Sorry for swearing. So when I was in the position to be able to afford a nice truck, I got one. And the truck fuels experience for me. Put a bed in the back, I have a camper shell on it, and like last summer we did a bunch of camping, sleeping in the back of the truck. So fun. It's something that fuels me being able to adventure and have like more experience, right? And that's the approach that I like to take now, is anytime that there's something that is like really, well, it happens with anything. If you're a CrossFitter, then you just really buy into CrossFit culture, right? And you're like, CrossFit is what I live and breathe and everybody should do it. And obviously the same goes with religion and politics and movement culture, right? What's cool in movement culture? I want to do that thing. But when you get so dogmatic about an approach, that's just as, you're just falling into the other side of the extreme. So for me, I've learned from those years that I spent being really lean and minimalist. And now when I bring things into my life, because I like to have things now, I make sure that they're serving a very specific purpose. And usually those purposes are, is this going to give me some type of experience that I'm looking for? Is this going to fulfill me through spending my time in a way that I want to spend my time? For me, I'm still walking the balance because I can feel myself when I start to get a little bit too consumery, when I start thinking, well, now that I got this thing, I need this thing, and this thing, and this thing. And it's like, whoa. I catch myself and I tap back into what really makes me happy is not the things, it's my experience, right? So that's all we can do, is try to find a balance. I would encourage you to explore some aspects of minimalism if you haven't. You don't have to be a full-blown minimalist and live in an empty house, right? I don't think that that's going to necessarily serve anybody that positively, unless you really, really feel like you want to have that experience. But I would encourage you to see where you can strip off some things. See what is causing you to keep being in this capitalist machine, and see where you can make some cuts back. If you guys want me to do some tips on becoming more minimalist, taking a bit more of a minimalist approach, let me know in the comments below, and I can give a quick list of things that you can try out. All right, guys, to answer the question, this empty room, it's not because I'm a minimalist, it's because I like to move. And I use this room to do movement, to exercise, to do fitness things. But minimalism is dope. I encourage it. It's helped me out a lot in my life. That's all for the day. Done.